I'm better than you. I had no place giving her any opinion whatsoever. It's like toxic positivity. Doesn't feel like women supporting other women. Feels like women using that as an excuse to feel superior. And in some instances, build a brand. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about, a lot of things. Pandemic beauty, how that's changed everything, whether or not you feel too old to wear certain makeup, how we have chastised people for having different work done, nips and tucks of different ages. I'm just going to get into it. I've got a lot of chat in me today. So I'm all skincare already. I'm going to use this Illuminating primer from Primark that I got a few questions about. When I first talked about it, they'd actually sent me a bunch of stuff and it wasn't available in stores yet. I still haven't seen this, so let me know if you have, but it's really nice. It's like a pearly kind of, like a glowy primer, but look, it's just like a almost kind of iridescent champagne-y colour. Really gorgeous. And as I said when I first tried it, it's one of those products that you would not know it was from Primark. If you repackaged this and I said it was like Hourglass or something, you'd completely believe it. I'm also going to use this No7 Airbrush Away like silicone primer because I'm just playing at the moment with these ones that are supposed to fill in pores and kind of blur everything underneath the makeup. The ones that before I was like, when I was so concerned about having really oily skin and being as matte as possible, I didn't like these primers because they felt oily. But now, just want to see if we can kind of fill in some little fine lines and disguise my pores a little bit under the heavier makeup that I've been favouring recently. Speaking of which, so over the past couple of weeks, I've been making a concerted effort to put on makeup every single day. Part of the reason is that I feel like I've just kind of not fallen out of love with makeup. I've talked about this to death, but not fallen out of love with makeup, but just kind of fallen out of the habit of wearing it. And so I just don't really have that excitement that I used to have, because when you're wearing something every day, even if it's just like getting dressed, you start to get more excited about your outfits and shopping and all of those things. Whereas if you stop, if you suddenly are just like in sweatpants or pajamas all day, because this also happened in the pandemic, suddenly you're a lot less excited about outfits and clothes and going out. So partly it was that, but partly I do believe that it has an impact on my mood when I'm actually put together. It used to be my hair, that when I've actually washed and blow dried my hair, I felt so much more put together, so much more kind of ready for the world. And I still think that's true, but I'm still super lazy with my hair. But I wanted to kind of get back into the habit of putting on makeup every day, just having a face done and feeling more like I've actually got ready. Obviously then a knock-on effect is that I'm getting a little bit more excited about products and application, and that spills into my YouTube stuff. But I have rediscovered some products that I loved a long time ago and completely forgot about. And I've been playing with different ways of applying stuff. I've been watching beauty videos again, which I haven't. I was like all vlogs all the time pretty much. I just kind of like lifestyle content, and occasional beauty videos would kind of sneak in there. But this feels like the closest to like early YouTube days for me that I felt in a really long time. During the pandemic, and again, I know I'm not alone in this, I was not wearing a lot of makeup, and I was kind of feeling pretty good about that. Like, well, I don't feel like I have to be wearing makeup all the time. I'm kind of learning to like my makeup-free face. Pore minimizing primer, it does something, but there's still texture. It's not like smooth. So there was that, but also I think that I became very aware of aging during the pandemic because I was seeing my bare face so often, and I wasn't making an effort ever to like get ready. Like sometimes when you're not feeling super great about yourself and then you'll like dress up and do your hair and makeup and you're like, gives you a little bit of a boost. I was never doing that. Like I was never getting that occasional boost of you scrub up well. And so I was kind of getting a little down on myself on the aging front, and that is the first time that I started to seriously consider any kind of procedures, you know, like Botox, that kind of stuff. And I then, on top of that, became acutely aware of fine lines and makeup exacerbating any signs of aging. And so that was like pushing me in a different direction away from makeup as well, because all the fun stuff, all the stuff that people were doing online was very heavy, super powdery. Oh my God, the baking. I was like, absolutely not. Just none of it was for skin over 35. I was not feeling it even slightly. So I was pushing even further towards the very, very lightweight makeup looks and just not a lot of anything, because every time I put on a lot of makeup, fun as it was, I felt like it aged me, which, as I'm telling you, that became a concern. That became an insecurity during the pandemic. And although I do still think that is true, heavy makeup is not the most flattering, it kind of is the same as outfits. Like when people say, well, you can't wear that past a certain age. I think that if you start to buy into that and you start to think, well, I can't wear that because I'm this old, or that's only for people of a certain age, then you're really cutting off a lot of stuff that maybe you would super enjoy. And I personally really enjoyed playing with makeup. I loved playing with like fun eye makeup and bold lips and everything. And I was kind of telling myself that was in the past and I couldn't do that anymore if I wanted to look as youthful as I could. And these past couple of weeks, I have had so much fun with makeup again. I'm not worrying about how it looks, you know, is this the right makeup? Should I be wearing this? None of that. I'm just having fun with different methods of application, different kinds of products, rediscovering stuff that I absolutely loved, and playing with ways of doing stuff that I've never done. Like this thing of, I've seen people do this and I always was like, eesh. This thing where you put bronzer all the way up to your hairline. I love it. I love it. I was never like mega bronzy kind of person, but I actually think that it gives me this kind of dimension to my face, especially when you use cream products as well. But this kind of dimension to my face that I can't believe I wasn't doing this the whole time. I also always get comments whenever I talk about feeling a certain way about age, or feeling a certain way about like wrinkles and stuff like that. I will always get comments from people who are like negative about those opinions, and I totally understand. I'm not sharing this as this is how everyone over 30 should feel. I'm sharing this as that I know a bunch of people feel this way, and this is not the way that I want to feel. When I talk about clothing and I'm like, oh, well, I don't like this particular thing on me, I will always get comments like, you're only this age, or it's not even that, blah, blah, blah. It's not as simple as that, is it? We feel the way that we feel, and we have to kind of do our own internal work on that. I'm not here to tell anyone how they should feel about the way that they're aging, or what they're wearing, or how things have changed for them. My aim is only ever to be completely candid and hope that some people who are feeling exactly the same way are like, yes, this is exactly it. It's the same with body positivity. It's no good just people telling you you shouldn't feel a certain way, because that gives you that same kind of isolated feeling of not feeling positive in the first place. Socialized telling you that your experience or your feelings about yourself aren't valid because they're wrong, or that you have been socialized to feel a certain way, or, you know, societal pressures, all that stuff. It doesn't mean that you don't feel that way. Yeah, I think it's more useful for us to say, yeah, do you know what? I used to feel that way as well. And here are the ways that I kind of worked on moving away from that, rather than just telling people off for not quite being where you want them to be. My mum cut her hair when she was 40 because Susan Kennedy said that women over 40 couldn't have long hair. Now, that seems crazy. Women in their 40s, 50s and beyond have got long hair and nobody cares. Nobody thinks anything of it. So, you know, we're moving in the right direction, but we all have our own little barriers that we think, well, this is what this should be. This is what we want for ourselves. We don't want people to think this. It's crazy, and from the outside someone might go, well, I can't even believe anybody ever said that, but although a lot of it is external, a lot of it's internal as well. So I was telling myself that I was too old to play with makeup. And you've heard me talk about this for the past couple of years, like too old for YouTube. I don't feel like this is like the space for these people anymore. And that is all just working through some stuff internally. It's not really the truth. It's not really what's happening. It's just working it through. Also, gotta tell you, if you've got hooded eyes, I've been playing around with different ways of doing like a wing. At the moment, I've been doing a wing in my lid. So like, because if I do this, they're two completely different. This is a much smaller lid space. It's just really annoying. But I miss a kind of more open and winged look. So I kind of go, make it so that the ends of my eyes go flat, like flatten out from there. And then I kind of draw a wing shape on my lid. I showed you the other day that I did kind of a wing, but this is different. I'm just kind of bringing out the corner of the lid into a point. And it gives you that illusion of winged liner and that kind of open, more lifted look, but it's still all in the lid space, so you're not going to get that weird wonky wing when you like do this. It's not going to go like weird, but when you've got your eyes more like this, which is most of the time, then you've got that more open look. I do it with my liner before I do anything else. So before I put on any eye makeup, I do that with my liner, because then I can build from there. I can do whatever it is I'm going to do eyeshadow wise, and then just kind of build this out and smoke it out with a dark shadow. I actually saw someone on Instagram the other day that I follow. The comment was that she was nearly 40 and that she was dressing like a teenager, or that she was in her early 20s, and that it was so embarrassing that this woman was dressing like she was a 20-year-old and she was nearly 40. There was nothing wrong with the way that this woman was dressed. This was like, she was wearing perfectly regular clothes. It wasn't anything crazy. And the fact that this person commenting felt the need to even comment at all is crazy. But this is the problem. You have, I'm sure if I went to any amount of effort whatsoever, I could find someone saying the same thing about me at some point. We have our internal monologue of what we think, and then it is constantly confirmed by random strangers, because although that wasn't about me, that stuck with me, that person said she was too old to be dressing that way. I didn't agree with the person, but it's there. That lives in my mind now, that I saw that comment, not about me, but about women over 40. I'm interested to know how you guys actually deal with that, like yourselves, within yourselves. Like, how have you kind of worked to combat those messages? Have you just decided that certain things are, you know, that's behind you now, that's just how you feel, and that's just in yourself, fine, no problem? Or are there things that you wish that you felt more confident to wear that maybe you don't because of your age? I was talking to my friend at the weekend about this, and I said I think that a good amount of it for me, and it came earlier than average, was because I had a teenager earlier than average, because I had my daughter when I was a teenager. So it's very different to be kind of in your mid to late 30s and dressing the same as you did when you were 25 if you've got no children. But if you've got a teenager, then it's kind of very, you're aware of, you don't want to be dressing the same as your child. That's kind of how I felt. It's not necessarily correct at all, but that was something that I personally had to overcome, that feeling of like comparing myself to people much younger versus comparing myself to people of the same age. There was a kind of disconnect because I was a mother much younger. Bringing it back to the pandemic, I feel like there was a lot of talk at the time about, I think it was because everyone was home, and then you had massive disparities in how people were dealing with the like stay in place orders and being home, working from home, having children, not having children. There were just huge differences in how people were living their lives and dealing with living through a pandemic. And so there was a huge surge in content about accepting yourself and not comparing yourself to how other people were doing things. And that then led into so many different aspects of the way that we live. And I think that sometimes what is supposed to be a positive movement, so people will talk a lot about, you know, don't compare yourself to these super young Instagrammers, because these people have got like perfect lighting and the most amazing makeup. And I know I talked about this. Sometimes when you wear a super heavy amount of makeup, it can look absolutely incredible. Very, what's the word that I'm looking for? Editorial. Absolutely incredible to be photographed or on film with the amazing lights. As soon as you step out into the daylight, it looks terrible. And so there was a lot of content created about not holding ourselves to this standard of people who've been nipped and tucked and fillered and Botoxed and wearing all this makeup, and then they're under filters and feeling that we have to change ourselves and use all these weird face apps. And whereas I completely understand the sentiment and I agree with what people were trying to say, I think sometimes it can come across as judgmental, and I've been there myself. I know I've spoken a lot about fillers, because I don't want people to have filler or any kind of plastic surgery and regret those decisions. So I completely hold my hands up. I have been that person who might come across as judgmental about those kind of procedures, and I'm not intending to be, but what my overall message is, that it's not a trend to follow, that it's something that I knew someone who had a nose job, and I was very like, don't do it, because she was so young. Gotta tell you, she looks like a Disney princess. It's incredible. I personally was like, I don't want you to feel that this is something that you need to do, but I had to appreciate that it had nothing to do with me. It actually was not my place at all to have an opinion. She didn't ask me if she should have it done. She was telling me that she'd waited since she was like 12 or something to have this nose job, and I was giving her an opinion. She was very gracious about it, but I was giving her an opinion that was completely not asked for whatsoever. I had no place giving her any opinion whatsoever. So when people were making a lot of noise about all these young girls getting filler and Botox and different treatments, and pretty much chastising people and saying how terrible it was, and doing kind of like anti stuff about that, you know, like, this is what real skin looks like, this is what real people look like, don't compare yourselves to filters, it's not healthy, this is some weird time where everybody doesn't look like a person. I think that I was definitely guilty of feeling superior if you haven't had anything done. And if ever I talked about, oh, well, you know, maybe in the future I might have this or I might have that, I would get comments from people who were like, I would really lose respect for you if. And I think we have fallen into this thing of, because I've done this, I know, I've been there, I'm in it still. We've fallen into this trap of feeling like there are a new generation of people who don't want to look like real people, and they have had all this stuff done, and we're better than them because we haven't had it done yet. And so then I'm even pulling away from just regular makeup, because I'm thinking, well, if I can embrace my natural face and I'm not wearing all this heavy makeup, then I'm better than you. It's like toxic positivity, isn't it? Even the people who are out there saying women should support other women are on the same foot saying all these people who are having all these different treatments done, look at how terrible they look. Doesn't feel like women supporting other women. Feels like women using that as an excuse to feel superior. And in some instances, build a brand. I think a lot of us over the years have just kind of confused the misogynistic messaging of like, women should be beautiful and women can only look a certain way, and in order to be attractive to a partner you need to look perfect. We're kind of mixing that up with women who, and men, who just want to alter themselves, whether it be temporarily with a lot of makeup or permanently. And it's kind of difficult to know where that line is, because why do we feel the way that we do about these procedures? Why do we want to wear lipstick and eyeshadow? Why, if we unpacked it all, maybe there'd be a little trace of the more negative side of it. But for some people, it's just fun. For some people, they want to temporarily have larger lips. For some people, they've always wanted to have a boob job. For some people, they've always hated their nose. And it's not necessarily a negative messaging. It's actually just something that they don't enjoy about themselves, and this will make them feel good. I know it feels slightly off the original message, and I do enjoy a tangent, but it's not, because that is the thing that was kind of in my mind. That was the thing that when I stopped doing things for myself and making an effort and wearing makeup at all, what originally was born from the fact that I wasn't going anywhere and who cares, kind of doubled down within myself as like, well, now I'm almost just taking a stand. Like, I've moved on from this. I'm older, I know better, I'm more comfortable in my own skin. I'll go to Tesco with no makeup on. I would never have done that before. I'll still do that now. But I think that there's still room for me to want to play with makeup, want to look my best, and also sometimes play with really heavy looks. Like, this is a lot of makeup for me. Maybe not for some people, but this is a full face of makeup. This is a lot. And I want to be able to do that and not feel like, oh, you know, maybe that's going to settle into your fine lines. Maybe that's going to age you, because who cares? It's fun and I really enjoy it. That's the misogynistic part for me. That's the part that is the part that makes me not want to do those things is actually a message that says, when you're after a certain age, you shouldn't be doing this. And we're using that as a reason to stop people from doing things that they want to do in the name of self-acceptance. My messages are never particularly well organised, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. So I'd be really interested to hear from those of you who've maybe felt the same way as me, about maybe like pulling back and not wanting to wear quite as much makeup because it's not as flattering, which I know some of you hate that word and I get it. And then also those of you who have felt either that they're compelled to get some kind of work done because they feel like they should, versus those people who've had it done because they want it done and actually they haven't felt any pressure whatsoever. They just were like, oh, I really like the look of that, I'm going to do that. Not because they look in the mirror and they're like, my lips aren't big enough compared to these people. Because I just think that at this point, there's so many different reasons that people do things, so many different reasons that people change their face, that wear makeup, that do whatever. We have to be slightly more accepting. And I say we, I mean me, because I've definitely been incredibly judgmental about nips and tucks and tweaks and injectables. And I think the reason for that is that I don't want to do it, but I also know that I kind of do. And it's all, whenever anybody is judging anybody else, it's nothing to do with that person. It is always about them. And so in this instance, it was always about me. And I've talked about it a lot, and I've always had a real mix of feedback. Some people feel so strongly against it. And I would say to those people the same as I'm saying about me right now, that is a lot more about you than it is about anybody else. And if someone I know had a full face of fully injected whatever, I wouldn't think any less of them. The only problem, the only thing that I will always advise of is with filler, think of it like a pregnancy. Everything gets bigger, your boobs get bigger, your bum gets bigger, your bump gets bigger, you get stretch marks, your skin never 100% snaps back. There'll always be kind of like a slight difference in the elasticity of your skin. You've stretched it out. Any kind of filler that you're having on your face, if you're having it before you've lost volume, that's what you're doing. If you wait until you're kind of in your 50s and then you have lip filler, you've lost some volume to your lips, and so the skin is there to be plumped back up again. Same as around your eyes, wherever it is that you decide to have it done. If you're having filler done in your 20s, you are stretching that skin out before it's lost volume, and you are 100% going to create a faster aging in that area. That is my only thing about early filler. Anything else, I mean, even that, go for it. Just know, if you go big, there are going to be some side effects. Now I'm going to take my fake braids. This is twists up here. It's twists. I saw it on Instagram and was like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try it. And go and have some lunch. Thanks for hanging out with me, listening to me rant. I'm looking forward to the conversation in the comments.